We are recording this podcast on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We wish to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respects to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening. Hi everybody, welcome to Novel Feelings, our new podcast. My name is Elise.
And I'm Priscilla. Welcome.
You might have clicked on us because of our thumbnail or because of our episode description or because you know one of us and you're a really nice friend or a family member who wants to support us.
Has been pressured into listening to this podcast.
If so, thank you. If I promised you a coffee, I will get it to you when I can. The purpose of Novel Feelings is all about discussing representations of mental health in fiction novels. We have chosen this topic because we read a lot and talk about books a lot and have a lot of opinions about books. We're also really interested in representations of mental health issues. This is something that we feel has sometimes been done well, but often not been done particularly well, particularly as general society learns more about mental health. And as a result, we are seeing more and more discussions and representations of mental health in books. We are also mental health professionals. We have a lot of opinions on the topic that hopefully you'll be interested in.
Yeah. And we also chose to discuss fiction rather than nonfiction in this podcast. Well, mainly because that's our preference when we read books.
Yeah, we both read a bit of nonfiction, but tend to focus more on fiction novels.
From us, you could expect that each of our episodes will focus on a different book. We'll talk about the plot of the book. We'll also go into details about the mental health issues covered in the story.
For now, we are going with a couple of contemporaries. So some we'll be covering that will be set in real life, some set in more fantasy situations, some featuring teenagers, some featuring adults, some featuring ancient fairies. There's a few different things we'll be covering. And in terms of the mental health issues that we'll be talking about, there's a real range and certainly not going to be limited to these moving forward. But a couple that we've talked about so far will include depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, psychosis, and anxiety disorders. And we're certainly not going to limit ourselves to books where we like the representation of mental health issues. Expect criticism. We're not planning on being mean about books in any way, but we will be covering what we think the writers do well and what we think the writers could do a little bit better in the future.
We will aim to be fair.
I wanted to talk a little bit about who we are and how we met. So Priscilla and we first met at uni when we were studying our masters. We both studied in Melbourne, where we both live. So we are both trained psychologists.
Yeah, funny story. I think actually the first time Elise and I spoke to each other is because we both listed libraries as something to do for self-care.
That kind of struck up a conversation between the two of us, and we realised that we were both book lovers, and friendship started from there.
Yeah. Also, you had Marauder's map phone cover.
I forgot about that phone cover. Yeah.
As a Harry Potter fan myself, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna like this person."
And we've been friends ever since.
The power of books, people.
Yeah. These days, we are still obviously in touch with one another. We are currently, as many people in the world at the moment, recording a podcast in lockdown as a consequence of the 2020 COVID-19 global pandemic. I came to Priscilla with a pitch one day and said, hey, remember how we both like books and I want to learn how to make a podcast? Why don't we put those things together and see what we can do? And yeah, that's how Novel Feelings was born.
I studied educational and developmental psychology. Since I finished my master's degree, I've worked as a research assistant and a psychologist. I work in the not-for-profit sector in a clinic, but that role has also given me the opportunity to work in primary schools, in community settings, in secondary school settings as well. So I've worked really across the lifespan.
I am a registered psychologist. I was working in private practice, although I have recently taken a little bit of time off of that to focus on my research job. So I currently work in mental health research across a number of topics such as suicide prevention, service evaluation, shared decision making, and various other topics. I'm also completing my PhD at the moment, so I am currently in my first year of my PhD, so still pretty early, and I'm looking at different ways to hopefully reduce mental health stigma. So this is a topic that I care about a lot. I do work for a mental health charity at this time, but I guess I just wanted to flag that my views are my own, of course, and I'm not speaking today from the perspective of that worker. I'm speaking just from my own personal views. Anyway, I just wanted to flag that obviously we are psychologists, but please don't take anything we say in our podcast as therapeutic advice. When we do talk about resources and so on, we tend to talk about more general suggestions or further reading, but everybody is different and we never want to give blanket advice. It's important to mention that we are coming at this from a particular perspective, which is that of book lovers and mental health professionals, and we aren't necessarily going to have the same experiences of the characters that we'll be talking about. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes we might get things wrong, and we'd certainly love to hear from you if the experiences that are covered in the books don't match yours, or if they match yours and we've said that they're not quite right. So we're very open to those kinds of discussions, and we'll know how to contact us later on. So we thought it would be fun to use a psychometrically valid scale of which we found in our peer-reviewed source, BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
So we are going to complete a BuzzFeed quiz just so you, the listener, gets to know us a little bit better. So the BuzzFeed quiz that we are going to try is called Your Reading Habits Will Reveal Your Exact Age and Book Character That Fits Your Personality. This was posted in 2019 by BuzzFeed staff writer Farah Penn. So first question, what types of books do you like to read? We've got 6 options, YA or middle grade, thriller, mystery. Look, I know the answer is YA or middle grade before I read the best. I want to say a little of everything, but I do think I tend to read the most young adult books. So I will have to be honest and select that one.
Sure.
What format do you typically use to read? So we've got audiobooks, hardcover, paperback, library books, an app, or an e-reader. These days, I'm probably using an e-reader more because while we're in lockdown, I can't get to a bookstore or the library as much. So I'd say if we're looking in general, I tend to read a lot of paperbacks the most. Which genre best describes your personality? Got romance, fantasy, classics, contemporary, science fiction, or thriller? I mean, personality, like do I have a thriller personality?
You can say you have a thrilling personality.
I'm just going to go with contemporary because I don't know how to answer that question.
Sure.
How do you organise your books? Oh, we've got a couple of alphabetical options by book colours, in order by my favourites, in a weird order that only makes sense to me. I don't have a method of organisation. I did the aesthetic thing and went by book cover colours. I've got the rainbow shelf at the moment, but then I've got a separate shelf that's like series that all belong together. I think by book cover colours probably fits that the most. Finally, how many books do you read in a year? Okay, so we've just got a bunch of different numbered options. So at my highest ever was probably about 60 a year, but that was a few years ago now. The last couple of years, it's been between 30 and 35, so I'm going to go 30 or more. Okay, all right, so you got your 25, and the character that fits your personality is Jo March from Little Women. All right, well, I'm 29, so that's not too far off though.
Yeah.
Jo March, so I'll take Jo. I like Jo. So you're outspoken, bold, and unique in your sense of style. You're not afraid to try new things or take the road less travelled. You're passionate about the things that bring you joy and work hard to become good at them. You tend to be hard on yourself at times, but that's only because you're incredibly ambitious. Okay, I'll take that. I think that's not too far away.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah, probably not as outspoken as I'd like to be because, anxiety gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, I like Jo, and I'm not going to argue with that too much because that's quite flattering.
Cool. It is quite flattering. Jo March is pretty cool.
Your turn.
Okay. What types of books do you like to read? Have to go with YA or middle grade books, though lockdown has got me reading a lot more romance lately because it's cozy.
Or as the option says, romance baby.
Yeah, it's cozy. It's got a happy ending. What format do you typically use to read? I've been reading audiobooks a lot lately just because it's really accessible from the library by the BorrowBox app. But typically, I would prefer a paperback. What genre best describes your personality? I'm with you. I don't know how to answer this one. I'm going to choose romance. I'm a pretty romantic person. How do you organize your books? I don't have a method of organization. At the moment, I have more books than shelf space, so I just shove them wherever they fit.
Yeah.
All right, how many books do you read in a year? This year, 40 or more. But that's
already. Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
Lockdown, baby. On average, I would say 30 or more.
Okay.
Oh, I also got Jo March.
Okay, we are both Jo March.
Yeah, that's right. That's not too bad. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Maybe this quiz is rigged to Jo March.
Maybe.
Oh well, who am I to argue with BuzzFeed? It is scientifically accurate.
That's right.
Now that we've learnt a bit about our apparently exactly the same personalities, let's just quickly note that if you want to learn more about the books we cover, any relevant resources, or just more about the podcast in general, we do have a website, which is novelfeelings.com. So for each episode, we're going to be posting an episode blog, which will have episode-specific information and links. We will also have a mental health resources page, which will be more general. And you can also send us messages through our website or on social media. We'd love to hear from you or to have a chat. We are on Twitter and Goodreads. So you can find us on Twitter at novel_feelings and on Goodreads via goodreads.com/novel_feelings. If the podcast continues to grow, we might make an Instagram page or like a Facebook group or something, but keep an eye on that over time. Now, Priscilla, do you want to tell us about where we can find you online? You have a book blog?
I used to, but blogging is so time consuming that I gave that up when I had a full-time job. But I do have a Bookstagram. That account is at Paved with Books. So think, paved with good intention. There's a double S in there. So it's Paved with Books, extra S.
I think that wraps us up for our introduction. I hope this has piqued your interest in our podcast. Please keep listening. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll hear from you, and we hope you have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
See ya.